I've been wanting to watch this chat video for forever. I think it'll be a nice, fun little video. It's the one on unschooling, which is just the parents that have decided to not teach their kids jack and have them be 19th, 18th century peasants.
School, homework, detention, swirlies. There are lots of reasons why someone may not want to put their kids in a typical schooling environment. And there are lots of reasons why kids themselves hate school, especially if they live in the US. Maybe not the worst education system in the world, but we sure are gunning for it. With all those reasons, it can make sense that someone may want to try out alternative schooling methods. The most popular being probably online schooling, which is something that a lot of people became familiar with in 2020. With online assignments and Zoom classes, it makes pretending to do algebra while playing Animal Crossing much easier. Then of course you have homeschooling, where your parents get to decide whether you're a dumb kid with no friends or a smart kid with no friends. But recently I found out there's a third option.
So we don't teach our children anything. Everything that they learn is in response to either their interests or their questions. We have no curriculum, we have no school hours. We really just respond whenever they want to know something and do our best to make sure they really get it.
Free schooling or unschooling is like a branch of homeschooling minus the schooling. This website says it's an educational philosophy that relies on a kid's innate curiosity and desire to learn. In families that practice unschooling, students do not attend school and do not follow any set homeschool curriculum. So they typically don't have any courses, they just go about their day, and if the kid happens to ask a question like, hey, what's math? Then the parent would explain it and try to teach in the moment, which relies on the kid to ask really good, insightful questions all the time, which they usually do. Mom, why is my booger purple? Also, during which year did the French Revolution end? But she goes on to show us an example of the unschooling her son has been doing.
My son's 6, and it took some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp, egg, jar, lion. This is him doing this by himself.
So her son is 6 years old, and this is seemingly the first time he's ever written words down. All of the top comments are pointing out that this isn't very advanced for a 6-year-old, and I don't have a way to gauge whether it is or not, so I asked my mom, who homeschooled 5 kids. She said, well, there are way too many factors to consider. Are they a first child with a stay-at-home mom? Is their birthday at the end of the year? Then wrong there. That's the wrong there, Mom. Yeah, that looks about like I would expect a 6-year-old to write. That doesn't seem extraordinary. And then, of course, she closed it out with the smirking emoji because she thinks it's just a regular smiling emoji, and I am not going to explain to her why it's not. But regardless of skill level, I don't know that this can be called writing, not because of how it looks, but because she mentions he's been going around the house and copying these words down, so he can't write them from memory and probably doesn't know what they mean. He's just mimicking the lines of the letters, so this is more like drawing. She's also said that they teach in moments exactly like this. This is where they would educate while the kid is showing interest in the topic, but I don't think she did that.
This is him doing this by himself.
From what we can see, they didn't go into any more depth. There isn't any more writing aside from what he put there initially, so they didn't turn it into a lesson and have him practice. But they did stop to make a TikTok, so while he's not getting a proper education, at least his parents are using him to become social media.
There's so many sound effects. My poor brain is like trying to process all of it. Oh no, I'm old. I'm not zoomer enough. Fuck. Oh god. Is ADHD heaven? Okay, I like visual clutter, not like sound ADHD. You were locked the fuck in though? Yeah, it's true. That is true. Dude, listen, okay, I don't think that your parents should force you to do things. I think in general, your parents should convince you that you should do things, and you should do them because you want to do them. I mean, I was hanging out with like a friend of mine, and she had family members visiting, and one of their family members is like a cousin or something, like a 15-year-old girl. And we're hanging out, and I'm outside. I didn't even realize it, but the mosquitoes were fucking my ass up. I'm not even kidding. Like, I was like, Mom, my leg is so itchy. I was wearing a skirt. I was like, my leg is so itchy. Oh, itchy. Itchy, itchy, itchy. I was like, what's wrong with my legs? I'm never this itchy. I look down, I see 100 mosquito bites. I just totally just been like this blood's so good. Stop swatting me. I'm trying to get a good drink in here. Meal. Oh, fuck. I haven't had anything this good in a while. Anyways, I finally realize it. I go and I get some off spray. And I spray myself. I'm like, okay, I'm saving myself. And my friend's like cousin or whatever her mom tells her like, hey, you should put on the off spray as well. And the daughter's like, no, I don't need it. And I was like, and the mom's like, no, put it on. And I tell her, I was like, I mean, you don't have to put it on now if you don't want to put it on now. It's all good. Like, you can do it after this happens to you in 10 minutes. After they fuck your ass up in 10 minutes, you know, the offspring will be on the table. And then this chick immediately is like, hand it over. She like looked at my legs. She's like, actually, I don't want that to happen to me. Actually, I changed my mind. I see that. Doesn't look that good. Give me that shit. My point being, I think you should treat like teenagers, at the very least, like high schoolers, you should try and treat them like adults in most situations, or in like a good amount of situations. There's a good number of situations where they'll learn more and they'll do more if you just treat them like adults. Instead of forcing them and being like, do this now, I demand you to. So sometimes you can just convince them by being like, hey, you can make this decision. Here's the information so you can make that informed decision. And then they will make the decision themselves after they either see your legs and see that they're bit the fuck up, or that they get bit the fuck up and they're like, okay, fine, hand it over. I regret not having sprayed it sooner. Allow them to make mistakes that aren't permanent. Exactly. And like, what is a less permanent mistake than like a mosquito in like fucking California, right? It's probably fine if they get bit 2-3 times or whatever. I don't think that the mosquitoes here are like actively carrying malaria, hopefully. I hope. So just let them make that mistake. They will learn. Maybe West Nile? Okay, well. West Nile's in SoCal? Uh-oh. Last stream. Uh-oh. anyways. My point being, you should try probably, and this is like a gripe that I had as a kid, where I wish my parents didn't just force me to do stuff, because I can be convinced, all right? And my parents could have just easily convinced me with just like 1 or 2 answers. And it is a little bit irritating when I see that doesn't happen. And, you know, obviously I don't have kids, so maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm totally cringe and unbased or whatever. But there are instances where your parents absolutely should force you to do things, okay? Absolutely. One good example, learning your parents' like native language or second language if you're like an immigrant, right? I am so glad that I know any Arabic at all. My Arabic's pretty dog shit. But the fact that I know it is really cool, that I basically didn't work for it at all, and that I can mostly understand people, mostly. Or, you know, forcing your kids to learn at school. Your parents, ideally, they don't force you, but if you cannot convince them that school is important, at some point you just have to force them to do it. Ideally, you're Arab, yeah. Ideally, you get your kids on like a reward system. Hey, if you get A's and hundreds, you know, I'll get you anything that you want, blah, blah, blah. But if you really can't, you're like, I'm sorry, man, you have to go to school. You have to. I don't know how else to tell you this. I have to force you to do this. It's too important. Same thing with unschooling. You can't just let your kid not learn because they don't want to learn. What the fuck? Because they won't, because they don't know that it's important. I honestly thought you were Hispanic, Denims. Most people do. Most people do. When I was living in New York, the number of times that like these Hispanic older women would stop me on the street and they would just start spitting Spanish, and they'd be like, I'm like, no habla. No habla español. I'm sorry. No habla. And then they looked at me with disdain because they thought I was someone who was Hispanic who never learned Spanish. But like, I'm Arab. Like, I'm not. I get why you're upset, but it's to the wrong person. It's to the wrong person. I'm wrong ethnicity. I know I just look a little Hispanic, okay? You should have released the other language on them. That's what I should have done. Yeah. mean, it's not always that easy. A lot of parents have been made against any sort of pharmaceutical help. Growing up for me, I didn't get the medical help I needed because how bad my ADHD was. Oh yeah, no, I mean, obviously, again, the ideal world, your parents would make sure that you are taken care of in every front, that you have all of your medical needs met, that there is nothing that is actively stopping you from enjoying learning. And then they should try and reward system and positive reinforcement you to, do well in school. And if that doesn't work, I think they have to force you because school is too important. It's too important to like pay attention in most of your classes and care a little bit about school, just a little bit. Like I never studied, but I cared about school and I liked learning. Good idea. And I wish my parents forced me to learn how to study because I had to figure it out myself in college, which was not fun. It was not fun getting C's for the first time in my life and being like, what is that? Professor's like, it's a C. I don't really understand what you're saying here. It's a C? Yeah, did you study? I mean, no, I never studied. Well, that's why you got a C. That can't be right. I've never studied before, and I've always gotten A's, and at the worst, B's. So this must be a mistake. No, you have to study. How do you do that? What the fuck? Did you take AP classes? I was actually looking at my diploma, my high school transcript. And literally my last semester was all, I put it away. It was all AP classes. It was AP Lit, AP Calc, which is technically like just Calc because that's what it said. It says AP Calc. Let me go get it. One sec. Okay. Don't look. Okay. We have here AP English Literature, AP Psychology, AP US Government, AP Calculus AB, whatever that means. And AP French and AP Chem. And then I also took a bunch of AP classes. That was my last semester at high school. But before then, I also took, because I was AP English Literature, I also took AP English Comp. I also took AP US History, AP Stats, AP Art History, AP Euro History. I think that was it. I think those are all the AP classes I took. Nerd. I know. I was a nerd. Okay? I was a total nerd. Yeah, it was Calc 1. But anyways, the problem was that the classes were not challenging, which is why the term gifted student is fucking dog shit, because it doesn't, it just rewards kids for being naturally good at things, and it doesn't teach them how to actually study, and it doesn't teach them that, hey, this isn't all, eventually at some point it's going to catch up to you, and you're going to have to actually put in effort and work, which is what happened when I graduated high school with a 91%. I got 65s in all of my gym classes. Leave me alone. And then I got to college and I was like, I don't know how to study. Like, I literally don't know how to study. And I had to teach myself how to study after semesters of getting C's. And then I finally learned how to study and I got all A's again, which was not cool, man. Totally not cool. Fucked up that they did that to me, by the way. Very fucked up. All right, not cool. Dr. K says being gifted is a learning disability. I mean, I don't know about like a learning disability. I mean, I guess he might know more. I don't know if he specializes in child psychology or development, but It's definitely not what the word fucking means. Okay? The label gifted student is there, so ideally you learn how to study, and they're categorized similar to like learning disabilities, which is fucked up because I was not at any point shown how to study. Okay? I was just rewarded for doing well in classes easily, which is fucked up. Not fucking cool. But I did finally learn how to study. I was very proud of myself at the end of it. What'd you get? I got a degree in accounting. So, there's that. Are you a CPA yet? No, I haven't bothered spending any time studying for the CPA exam or wanting to take it. Anyways, sorry, back to the video. Why the fuck are we talking about this? Back to the video.
Influencers. Phew. My fucking light just.
And my big fear about free schooling was that if my kids only went towards what they were interested in, saving all of their real estate only for things they're interested in, not cramming it with anything necessary, I was concerned that they would never be interested in things like reading and writing and math.
To counter this fear, have you tried teaching them reading and writing and math? It's really good for kids to learn at this age, and he clearly wants to. If you don't make an actual plan to educate them now, this is the level that they're gonna stay at. The motivation is only gonna decrease. Hey, Timmy, you wanna learn about the alphabet now? Egg. Timmy, it's not cute anymore. Egg. Timmy, you're 17. Egg. He says he'll ask about math sometimes too.
Yeah, which is another realization, by the way, that like the things you don't like are things that you're just not comfortable with because you've never practiced them. And once you practice them and get a little bit of comfort in them, just a little bit of comfort, you become a lot more brave with like how much you're willing to like learn.
Same with addition. Mom, what's 7 plus 5? It will come at the right time.
Why does she pause like this? The stare that she does is so scary. If my mom looked at me like this after I asked a math question, I would never ask one again. But maybe this is a one-off. Maybe she was just really excited, and typically she does turn questions like this into a teaching moment.
I accidentally also paused it at the exact same time, which was terrifying for you guys. Sorry. Sorry, my bad. Do you have any... Same here. I just kind of worked around the whole learning study thing. Do you have any advice for someone with ADHD 10 years out of school that wants to learn those skills later in life? When I was learning how to study, I would remove all stimulus that was not important. So ideally, I would get off my computer because I love my computer and it has all my fun video games and all my gay friends on it. So I, at some point, started just going to cafes and bringing a laptop with me. Or the school library and just bringing a laptop with me that doesn't have anything. It can't even fucking run Darkest Dungeon on it. It has enough capabilities to have one browser tab open and a word pad open, and that's it. The other thing is you turn your phone on, like you mute all of the notifications except for phone calls. Because I assume when people phone call, if it's important and I have an important message coming in, it's a phone call. So I mute everything except for phone calls. And then I set hour-long timers. Or like sometimes if hours don't work for you, at one point what I would do is, this is how I studied. I would read the textbook chapter to chapter. So if in class we would be talking about chapter 13, liquidating assets, I would read the whole chapter and I would take notes on the chapter and basically just take all the information on each individual page and put it on a sheet of paper. And I would take out my little gel pens and my pencils and everything. And it just helps for me. If it's not the case for you, it helped for me to write things down physically. But I know that that's not the case for everybody. And then I would see how long it would take me to get through on average, how long does it take me to get through a page? And I found that it took me about 5 minutes to read a textbook page and write all the important information on a piece of paper. And anything that was very complicated that I wanted to come back to later, I would like annotate it. I wish I had some of my old study or my old notes that I took. But yeah, you know how in textbooks they'll have like headers and then subheaders and then they'll have the text? I would put like the same exact numbers, the same exact text. So like liquidating assets and then like part 1 of liquidating assets, like how does liquidation work? And then I would do bullet points for anything and then maybe like sub bullet points. And I would just try and get all of the text that's on the page, but simplify it onto a sheet of paper and try and condense it. And anything that was super complicated or there was a chart or something, I would either redraw the chart or I would write down the page number to come back to. And then on average, I found it took me about 5 minutes per page to do that. So I would set up like a 5-minute timer on each page. And I'd be like, I'm trying to get through 10 pages. So 5-minute timer. And then it's like I'm racing against the clock to get everything down. And then I'd do like another 5-minute timer when I flipped the page and so on and so forth until I got as much as I could. And then I would try and do that for like an hour or 2 hours. Then I'd take like a little break, do what I wanted to do, and then I would go back to it. And I found when I was in college, I was taking when I went back into college because I took a little break and came back, I was taking 6 classes at a time. And I got all A's in all my classes. So mad respect, it works. And I was studying 2 hours every single day. Just a flat 2 hours every single day. And I got A's in all my classes. So if you want to get A's in all your classes, try doing that. Just 2 hours every day, no matter what. I would stay at school. It's like my class ends at 2 p.m. I'm staying in the school no matter what until 4 p.m. And I can stay here and do nothing and scroll my phone, which is a waste of my fucking time. Or I can actually just sit down and do the studying, be ahead of the next lecture, and then go home after that. Does the 2 hours account for writing papers? The 2 hours, it's hard to say because this was a couple years ago, but I'm pretty sure I was doing 2 hours every day. And that included writing papers, doing homeworks, and studying for exams. But no matter what, every day, 2 hours after classes, I would study. I would spend that time doing stuff for school. And if I was caught up on homework, I would just read the textbook or whatever. I think maybe on finals week, I upped the number to like 4 to 5 hours, but I didn't do nearly as much studying in finals week as other kids did. And I got better grades than they did. So you can learn how to study. As a teacher, this is frowned upon advice to give, but as a student with ADHD myself who struggles with college, I always advocate for students reading the headings and the first and last sentence of every paragraph to get the gist for context. Yeah. The other thing as well, genuinely actually very helpful. I'm having to wait 6 to 12 months to increase my ADHD meds. Exactly the same time I've had loads of new work responsibility and freelance work. So I'm going to try to go to a coffee shop tomorrow and give it a go. I highly recommend it. Changing atmosphere and getting away from your computer that has all your fun stuff will help you a lot. Because the entire time you're going to be like, am I going to really sit here and scroll Twitter, or am I going to sit here and actually do my work so I can go home and do fun stuff that I actually want to do? And when you do that, it actually helps a lot. So I liked it. I like doing it. There was one other thing I was going to say, but I don't really remember what I was going to say. I have a laptop just for school works, which is a privilege. Works well for me. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, try music. I like music. I know this doesn't work for everybody, but I really like music. I listen to music that has no like lyrics, or like the lyrics aren't obvious. So for example, the Russian doomer music, that those playlists that always appear, I can't understand it. So I listen to that. I would listen to Crystal Castles on repeat. But if you like lo-fi, lo-fi is good. You like jazz, jazz is good. Music helps me a lot when I'm studying. But the key is that if there are lyrics, you can't understand them. Or just listen to stuff that doesn't have lyrics. Oh, there was a period of time where all I listened to was the Hotline Miami soundtrack. That was amazing. That was amazing. So, I liked it. I liked it. It helped me. Okay. Let's try and finish this video. Wow, we've only gotten 5 minutes in.
And you see that somebody's bad energy and you don't like them because they're bad energy, what you're really saying is that they remind you of yourself.
What if that was a teaching moment? What if they were about to ask what trigonometry is? While she doesn't push her kids to learn things like reading and writing, she does make sure to give lessons on the really essential things.
There was a god named Kronos, and he was so afraid that one of his babies was going to take over his kingdom that he said, every time one of my sons is born, I'm going to eat that. I'm gonna eat my own son.
Learning the ABCs, no. We're too busy learning about cannibalistic deities. It's more important, and Kronos is really cool. He kinda aged. Her child is asking questions here, but mostly because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Why is he gonna eat his own sword?
Because that's the nature of chronological or Chronos time.
Ma'am, this child is not learning anything from what you just said. Even if this kid understood what that answer meant, it wouldn't be an answer, because her answer was just, that's just the nature of chronological time. Just because it does, that's how it is. You can tell he's completely lost, but it doesn't matter because this lesson isn't for his benefit, it's for hers. More specifically, it's for her business's benefit because she promotes her book and website at the end of it. On that website, you can get some of her free audiobooks, or you can enroll in her school workshop for money. So she can teach, but only if you're a paying customer. Maybe your kids would be able to read if they weren't so broke. Oh, you want to count to 100? Why don't you put 100 big ones right here first? Let's start there. One of the key points in unschooling is that the kids learn life skills and not just scholarly ones. For example, how to cut vegetables.
Right. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. Technique, baby. Technique. Good job.
Is the point of this to prove that unschooling is effective here? Because to me, it just proves that over the course of 4 years, your child developed fine motor skills, and I don't think unschooling is responsible for that. If anything, they should be way better at this. If they're at home doing it all the time, they should be Zorro at this point. She's got a literal baby waving a knife around, and the only warning she's giving is in a sing-songy voice.
If you cut your finger wrong, na, 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 na. So be careful now, baby.
This kid does not have the motor skills or the mental capacity to understand how dangerous this is, especially when she's acting like it's a silly thing happening. I'm gonna go in that door. Don't go in there. Whoa, why not? It's very dangerous. You will probably die. I don't know, it sounds pretty awesome when you say it. Your demise is imminent. Those seem kind of important though. If only I could read. While I was looking into this account, I stumbled onto another unschooling mom.
Day one of unschooling, and I've got my kids helping me to clean the car out. Teaching them hard work, taking care of the things that you love, that you need, and also getting the car clean.
Oh,
The crazy thing is, like, you can send your kid to school and still teach them this stuff. It's not like an either or. It's not like your kid can only learn trigonometry or life skills. They can learn both. You can spend like Saturday mornings or afternoons cooking with your kid. They don't want to cook, be like, okay, well, how about this? You cook with me every Saturday morning, and for the rest of the day, no chores. Or for the rest of the day, you can do whatever the hell you want, I won't bother you. Or like, whatever the fuck. You don't have to pick one or the other, man. What the fuck? What the fuck? And then eventually they like doing it enough on their own because cooking is fun, as an example. What the fuck? What the fuck?
so like chores. You're educating them by having them do regular house chores. You can't claim that cleaning the car and learning hard work is an acceptable replacement for actual curriculum. Cleaning and taking care of things is something that kids should be learning on top of their regular education, not instead of. This parent said she pulled her kids out of school to do this because she was unhappy with the public education.
That's also another very good point, by the way. Very good point. Children at this age, honestly, usually they want to spend time with their parents. Yes, that's a great point. Usually if your kid is like in elementary school, they want to spend time with you. You're like their best friend. Or maybe that might have just been me kind of a little bit because like I did get bullied my whole life except in high school. So my mom said I would come home crying every day from elementary school. It was very hard for me. My life was very difficult. I did not have a lot of friends. It was hard, okay? But most kids, like elementary school, I'm pretty sure they like their parents and they want to spend time with them. You can teach kids a lot, even if they're not personally handling a knife. You can teach them. It's like the videos of people having their kids like crack eggs open or whatever. Great. That's not dangerous. The worst thing that's going to happen is the kid's going to get a bunch of eggshells in the batter or whatever, and you can just have them crack it somewhere else. It's not dangerous, not scary. Okay, so give them 2 knives. Let me close some of these fucking tabs 1 sec. Okay.
system.
We have 52 days until I pull my child out of public school and start unschooling him. Lots of hands-on stuff to teach him these things, not just reading out of a fucking book, which is what's wrong with public school.
And while yes, there are a lot of things wrong with the public education system, I don't think that books in and of themselves are what's wrong with it. Books are usually pretty helpful, learning-wise. Not to be controversial, I don't know if she had maybe just a personal bad experience with books. You've got a lot of nerve showing up here.
It's been 5 years. Just let it go.
Let it go? You stole my college application essay.
Not this again.
I didn't get into Yale because of you.
I was in a bind.
Give me my paper back. And again, none of these are actual lesson plans. This is just hanging out with your kid, which is important, but so is being able to read a ruler. Very weird hat. Or even knowing what a number 2 pencil is. Why do they call it a number 2 pencil? Why don't they just call it a poopy pencil? She also claims that going to the grocery store qualifies as an unschooling lesson.
now they're gonna get
Jesus Christ. Again, like I said, you can just teach them these things on weekends or after school. My little brother is 4 and he says I'm his best friend. Oh, that's so cute. My sister is 10 and plans hangouts and comes with me and my friends. I'm their guardian. That's so cute. So wholesome. Oh. Also, kids have more appreciation for life, more patience. At least that's what you should learn. These parents are wild. Yeah. I had friends, but no parents. God damn. We had the opposite life, man. Yeah. But the little kids want to spend time. They have nothing to do. They have no money. They have no brain. They have no job. They literally just do whatever you tell them to do. And they just want to spend time with the people that make them happy or give them any joy at all. Kids are actually literally skate parkages.
go grocery shopping with me, and we're going to learn about reading labels. We're going to learn about math and money. When you're buying groceries, you need to make sure that the quality of it is good. So turn it over. See the prices on them right here? You typically want to make sure that you pick the lowest price.
These are just regular life skills that you should be teaching your kid whether they're unschooling or not. And how many times can a trip to the grocery store count as school? Because after a few, they're probably good to go, right? And next we have Timothy, graduating with a bachelor's and putting things in the cart, and a minor in not buying rotten strawberries.
My 10-year-old daughter literally wants to do nothing but spend time with me. I watched Marie Kondo for the first time ever a few months back, and like the very first episode, the mom is like talking about how she has so much cleaning to do and so much laundry to do and blah blah blah, and it's hard to like find time to do that when she has to take care of the kids. And Marie Kondo was like, you know, kids are down to help. Like little kids, like 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, they just want to spend time with you. They don't care what they're doing. You can have them fold clothes with you. You show them how to do it, and there's like life is so new for them. Doing anything is interesting because they don't have the motor skills and they don't know how to do anything. If you make it into a game, kids are like down to do whatever. Do you know how many times I played 52 card pickup? Too many times. Too many times. Children dream of labor, okay? You can just have them do the laundry with you. And now they know how to do laundry. Instead of being like, oh, I have to pick between hanging out with my kids or doing the laundry. I was like watching, I was like, damn, that's what you say.
Thank you. They said I couldn't do it. F the haters. Look at me now. When explaining her unschooling plan, she said the main things she'll be focusing on are starting a garden, great, and that she's going to be teaching them how to...
And also, it's important life lessons as well. Like this. My mom used to run a daycare. At the end of the day, she had them cleaning, putting away toys, wiping tables, and even sweeping. It is a good life lesson to instill in yourself, to have kids play, you know, make a mess or whatever, and then clean up after themselves. It's good to teach them this is playtime, and then you set aside time for cleanup time, because there's too many adults that never learn this shit because parents don't teach it because it's not important. And people who just like don't know how to put their shit away and they just live in constant clutter because they just never learned. And then it just stacks up infinitely because the habit wasn't built up. When you build the habit of you set aside 15 minutes at the end of every activity to clean up, it's hard to remove that habit. It's hard to. But for some reason, Americans really, chill. The closed chair didn't ask for the smoke. It's going to be impossible to get a kid to start cleaning up their toys after they haven't been cleaning them up forever. But it's not that hard if you've been teaching them from the very first time you give them a toy. And then when you're done playing with the toy, what do we do with it? We put it in the toy box. And then you never have to fucking clean up messes because they clean up after themselves. Because it's already become a habit that's seared into their brain. It's like locking your car when you walk away from it. You just do it automatically. You don't think about it. You're just like, okay, beep, beep, got it. I always set aside 15 minutes to clean up after a 16-hour goon session. I'm going to no comment. Type Chrome, I think it's a prime.
Establish boundaries. You should be doing that already. And she's going to teach him how to bake and cook. You should do that already. And also sports.
Also gonna be doing lots of sports. So he'll be in any sport, every sport that we can possibly think of, because we will now have time to do so.
Okay, so now that we've listed all the extracurriculars, what are you going to teach them?
I'll be taking them to the aquarium and zoos and learning through life experiences.
Oh,
They're gonna learn through life experiences, kind of like everyone else who is alive. The only references she makes to actual school subjects are like this.
Day 2 of unschooling, and we're at the park learning how to have fun. But before you get your panties in a wad, listen. Yes, we're going to be doing reading and writing and math and maybe science, but it's not going to look the same as traditional public school. It's going to be different.
These are just things that you should have mapped out before pulling your kids out of school. I never do anything for my kids without a plan, and I have 2 billion of them, and I make sure each and every one of them has a bed made out of galvanized steel with eco-friendly wood and a mattress that I borrowed from my aunt. Based on some of her older videos, it seems like she made this decision due to personal issues she was having with her kids' school.
The other day, or a couple weeks ago, she sent home in his folder a piece of paper that had a signature side and a date side. And she told him, didn't say nothing to me, told him to tell me I needed to take his homework out of his folder every single night, sign and date this piece of paper, and send it back to her every single day.
This video has been deleted now, but she's complaining that her son's teacher asked her to sign and date his homework every night, which is usually just to show that you're involved in your kids' schooling and that you understand what they're currently doing in school. And of all the things you have to take care of as a parent, this seems like one of the easiest ones, but she literally refused to do it.
Now, listen, I took that piece of paper out and I said, I'm not doing that, baby. I run a massive business through social media. I don't have time, literally.
I don't have time to help with my kids' education. However, I do have time to be completely and solely responsible for it. What's really sad about this is that her kid clearly wants her to sign. He makes a comment about some kind of reward system they have, some bonus he gets, and she can't be bothered. But isn't the point of unschooling to put your kids' individual needs first? Isn't the argued benefit that your teacher is your parent who knows you really well and has your individual best interests in mind? If you couldn't do that for literal seconds every night, what makes you think you're going to be able to do it 24/7 every single day? For some reason, she titled this Teacher on a Power Trip, and the teacher is just asking her to do something that probably all the parents are asked to do. It's a very simple instruction, and I thought that those were important to her.
You're doing how to follow instructions.
Those who can't do teach, I guess. The way she describes her unschooling plan just sounds like a pretty immature grasp of what it's gonna take. It's almost like the kid is the one who came up with it.
Okay, so first we're gonna go to the park.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go to the swimming pool.
Then we'll do school.
I'm not done. Then we're gonna go to the grocery store and buy 500,000 Go-Gurts.
How is that school?
It's math, bitch.
Another concern people had with her unschooling was her kids losing the socialization they get at school. And her response was, oh, they don't need that actually.
We don't actually need socialization skills. We need to know how to communicate, which you can do with your parents. We need to know how to connect, which you can do with your parents. And those are skills that you take for the rest of your life to make friendships.
All of the things she's listing are things you learn from socializing. We don't actually need socialization. We need to know how to socialize, how to be social, how to interact with people socially in a social way. Her argument is kind of that you can get all the socialization you need from your parents and don't need to hang out with kids your age. And she believes that going to the grocery store is also a form of socialization.
There's so many ways you could teach your child how to be social. Take them on grocery shopping trips. Take them to go to the zoo, and teach them how to talk to people. Lead by example.
I had no idea that going to the grocery store was so beneficial. It's a math lesson, it's a social visit, it's kind of a one-stop shop, I guess. She also has this video, which isn't a great sign.
If the worst thing that happens to my kids from unschooling is not knowing how to socialize, I think they'll be fine. I never leave my house and don't like people either, but I'm still happy and successful.
And if she's leading by example,
Lead by example.
something tells me they also won't leave the house a lot. And it's kind of hard to practice the unschooling method and learn
This
through
has
life
to be fake.
experiences when you
No. This is it's got to be fake. If there's no way it's real, I don't want to believe it, and so I won't.
aren't having any experiences. But I'm sure they'll never get tired of hanging out with their parents or struggle to connect with people their age in the future. Hey, you want to grab a drink with us? If we go to Applebee's, I have a coupon. Oh, we were thinking like a club. Ooh, love a good club. Very hard to get the mayo right though. No, like dancing. Now you're talking. Why are your pants so high?
What happens when you send your kid to a classroom for 8 hours a day? That is outside influences impacting your child. Because what
That is what happens.
they're going to learn isn't just coming from you. Beliefs that they're going to have aren't just coming from you.
Isn't that a good thing though? Your kid shouldn't only believe and think things that you think. Shouldn't they get a bunch
What do you think of the Imans?
of different opinions and beliefs from people and get a variety of perspectives? If your idea of schooling is making sure that your kid thinks exactly like you, that sounds less like education and more like conditioning. And unschooling is supposed to be about specializing your kid's education based on their specific ideas and interests. You can't tailor education to an individual if you don't see them as an individual. Also, the successful business she keeps referring to is a pyramid scheme.
I'm very proactive inside of my profession and my career of being an entrepreneur. They're likely going to follow that path because they're going to see how successful.
So, at least she can teach them shapes. A little bit of this reminds me of how I was raised. Again, I was homeschooled. You probably didn't know that. Just kidding. It's probably the only thing you know about me. Sorry, okay? Sorry I'm so mysterious and suave. Sorry I'm so shampoo coated. But my homeschooling wasn't really in an attempt to make me more prepared for the world or because I couldn't necessarily handle a typical school environment. It was more because normal kids are secular and besties with Satan. Sometimes they say things like, hey, you should smoke this, or fart, and both of those are equally as bad. The sole reason for my being homeschooled was religion and being able to limit the amount of interaction I had with the outside world, whether it be people or media. I wasn't allowed to watch PG-13 movies until I was 22. Just imagine being told you're not allowed to watch Jumanji, the Kevin Hart one, as a tax-paying citizen. And I think I would be better at a lot of things if I'd been able to interact with people my age before I was basically in my 20s. I missed out on a lot of skills like how to interact with people, how to not perceive every human being as a potential threat, how to order a milkshake at Sonic without breaking down in tears. Isolating your kids and making yourself the only presence in their life is probably less about
No, this is so for realsies though, because like all of the bullying I experienced, it made me stronger. I definitely could have learned those lessons without getting bullied. But the bullying made me stronger, and I realized, you know, there are certain things that you can do and you can stop doing that will make people like you more, okay? And there were a lot of annoying things that I used to do that, you know, I was forced to stop doing. And I had to deal with a lot of socialization, and I had to realize you have to pick up on social cues and you have to respond to them appropriately. Bullying taught me I was being cringe. Exactly. Bullying taught me that I was doing some cringe things. Okay. Bullying also taught me that people can be cruel. All right. And I learned a lot about it. And I now appreciate being here.
about what's good for them and more about what's good for you. And it's completely normal to have anxieties about where your kids are or how outside sources are going to affect them, but that doesn't mean that you should stop them from interacting with outside sources at all. That just sounds like you have anxieties that are being passed down to the next generation, like an heirloom, like a little apprehensive piece of furniture. You okay, man? Yeah, just some chest pain. And I'm not saying you shouldn't homeschool your kids or do alternative schooling, because I'm sure a lot of kids would benefit from something like that, but just don't do it bad. Just do it good. Otherwise, your kid's gonna end up like me in 20 years. And you don't want that. That is a threat. Anyway, guys, I gotta go to the grocery store for the 5th time today, so I gotta go.
Fiction is true the same way numbers are true, I would say. Like, you know, if you have one apple and one orange and one banana, the commonality between all of those three is 1. And you might say, well, is 1 as real as one fruit? Is the abstraction 1 as real as one fruit? And I would say it depends on what you mean by real, but representing things mathematically and abstractly gives you incredible power. And you could make the case that the abstraction is actually more real than the phenomena that it represents.
That's amazing. Isn't it amazing? Oh, man. Oh, man. So postmodern of him. Yeah. I credit so much of my learning to my literature teachers who taught me comprehension. I learned so much from reading as a child. I wish my English teachers were better growing up because I hated literature until I became an adult in college and I had good literature professors and I was like, whoa, reading is cool. Wait, I missed out on so much literature because my teachers sucked.